Right, so hello and welcome back to yet another episode of Cars and Engineering. In today's episode I'm going to be flushing the oil and then putting on a new oil pickup pipe. Stay tuned. Now you're probably wondering what a oil pickup pipe is. Now it's basically, the names sort of give it away a little bit. It's the pipe that picks up the oil from the sump and provides the entire engine with oil pressure. These little grates in here, not sure if you can see that properly, they get blocked up over time and that can lead to oil starvation and therefore killing the engine. So this is quite an important thing to do, especially on like high sort of performance versions of these engines and high mileage versions, because you can get a lot of crap caught up in that and then it will completely kill the engine. To make sure there is no crap in the system, I'm going to be using a oil system cleaner with a, well, once the system's cleaned out, I'm going to be changing it for a new Bosch oil filter. I'm going to have to prime that, and I'm going to be using some 5W40 platinum quantum engine oil to refill it. That's the recommended stuff. That's like £20 5 litres. The link to everything will be down in the description. I'm not going to go fully in depth with the oil flush because I've done that before. There'll be a link up here somewhere. And also make sure you subscribe down here somewhere. It really helps the channel. So this is where the oil pickup pipe lives on the engine. This is the engine rebuild, which is, well, on pause for a moment. This is where it lives. This is the oil pump here. See, the engine's upside down, so this will be the bottom. This is the old one, and on the actual POLO itself over there, I'm going to be changing, obviously, this. That's the grate I spoke about, which gets all blocked up with crap. You can see there is actually some stuff in there. You can see, if it focuses properly, you can see there's stuff in there, so it is a worthwhile thing. There's a little bit of crud in there. But yeah, picks up the oil here, goes along this pipe. There's a green O-ring in here which is rated for, obviously, this application. 2 M10 bolts, or 2 10mm bolts. They're not M10, the heads are 10mm. I think the actual thread itself is about 6mm to 8mm. I think there's 6. And then you've got the actual oil pump here, which is connected to your crank. It's obviously chain driven. But yeah, so I need to get the actual sump off, that's this one sump. I need to get that off of the other car as well once I've flushed it and drained it. Right, so this is just some Wins oil system cleaner. It basically says get up to temperature, put this in, let it run for 20 minutes and then drain it out. As I said before, I've already done this on the channel, so link will be up here somewhere. I'm just going to sort of fast forward through this, then I'll be able to jack the car up, get underneath, drop the sump and, well, drop the oil out of the sump, let it drain for half an hour and then actually fill up, well, actually change the oil pickup. Right, so that's the alarm going off. Time to now turn the car off, jack it up and drain the oil. Right, so now the car's all jacked up, I can remove this on the tray here in order to actually get to everything I need to get to. Right, so that now should just come out like that and go back there. Obviously this is now what we want to get to, which is the sump. First of all I'm going to drain it. Obviously over here you can see there is a little oil leak. We have to sort that out eventually. I think it's coming from the turbo, but I'm going to have to have a little probe about, see what's going on. This is the oil level sensor. I'm going to have to unplug that when I drop the actual sump itself. Now there's these 10mm head bolts I spoke about earlier. They need removing. But first of all I'm going to drain all the oil out, let it drain for about half an hour to a bucket, and then I will put some cardboard down so that no oil contaminates the actual concrete, and then go from there. Right, so now it's just a 14mm bolt on the sump. It is a magnetic one, so that should show us if there's any major wear on the engine. But going to pop this out, drain it into a bucket, and then let it drain for half an hour. Right, as you can see, that is the oil draining out the sump. Like I said, going to give it about half an hour to fully drain completely before removing it. Right, as you can see here, I've also removed the turbo oil drain, because that is another thing that's got to be removed from the sump. It's just two little M6 bolts. Again, they're all dripping into the bucket. So, like I said, I'm going to give it a good little while to drain as much out as possible. Put some cardboard down the floor to protect the floor from oil, and then we can actually drop the sump off to get to the pickup pipe. The oil filler needs to be taken off as well and replaced. Now, I'm not sure if you can see this, but this is the magnetic sump plug, and as you can see, there are some massive chunks of metal on it, which I hope are from the bucket that I used, but I really don't think so. I think these have come off the engine. I don't know where. I'm going to have a little bit of a further inspection, but they look important. So that's not good. That's really not good. The car's running fine at the moment, but this indicates that there is something going on inside that engine which probably isn't good. So I'm going to put these in here for now. Look at them in a bit more depth later, but this sort of stuff's expected. This sort of like little like a hedgehog sort of looking stuff. That stuff is like natural. That's just normal wear on the engine. Chunks like that aren't. So I'm gonna have to find out what they're from. Hopefully, well, obviously we're popping the sump off today, so I can see if there's any actual major damage inside the engine. But yeah, you can see that the magnetic sump plug is well worth it, because obviously that has now not gone through the oil strainer or anything like that. So in a way, this has saved them little parts from going through the oil and actually wrecking something and destroying the engine. So yeah, good little worthwhile upgrade, I think, for that. Chuck the washer in there as well. I'll clean it off before I put it back in, but now I need to look inside the engine to see where them little bits of metal come from, because if it is damaged to a certain degree, I won't be able to drive it. The car is going to be off the road for a little while. Right, got the cardboard down, got the socket ready, got some glue roll, some brake cleaner, and a small impact gun ready to get the sump off. Right, so the sump is surrounded by these 10mm bolts. I think there's an Allen in the middle. I think it's a 6mm. It might be a 5, I'm not too sure, because I believe these are M6 or threaded to M6. So yeah, got to take all these out, drop the sump. I need to unplug the oil level sensor as well. That's going to need 2 hands, but then other than that, it's just dropping the sump and getting to the pickup pipe. Right, so all of these are cracked off. As you can see, I can just barely move them with my fingers. There you go. So now I need to just go around with the impact gun, impact them out, hold the bottom of the sump, and then slowly lower it so that it's safe. I also have to take out these 3 gearbox bolts. I think they're 17mm. I'm going to have to buzz them out as well so that the sump will drop. Right, so moment of truth. Slowly bring the sump down. Right, so this is the bottom of the engine. This is the oil pickup pipe we're going to be changing. I can't see any stuff in there at the moment, but obviously we found the little bits of metal in the oil itself. I can see up in there, there's obviously like that cylinder, I think 3 and that cylinder 2. I've had to give them a little wiggle. There's not a lot of play on the bearings. The bearings seem okay. There's no rattles or anything like that from what I can see. This is in the way, this sort of plastic under tray thing. I'm sure it needs to be secured somehow, but it's held on by this M10 here, or this 10mm bolt here. But the sump keeps it in position, so that's nothing to worry about. This surface needs to be cleaned off because it is the sealing surface. You can see where it's been leaking oil back here, which is not good, so we're going to get rid of all that and reseal the sump once we've changed the pickup pipe. Again, the pickup pipe is only held on with the same 10mm bolts that the sump itself is held on with. They're M6. They've got a 5mm Allen wrench like socket in the middle, but they're a 10mm on the outside, so you sort of get two options of taking them out. But yeah, let's get this one off. Let's give it a good clean. Let's clean the sump, see if there's anything in the sump, and then refit the new pickup pipe. Right, so that's 2 M10s removed. As you can see, some oil did leak out the oil pump. Just got to wiggle it loose now. Slowly get it out. And that is the old oil pickup pipe. I'm going to drain the oil out of it. Put it to one side. And then get a rag and clean all this off. Right, so this is the actual pickup hole. You notice there isn't actually any gasket material there. It's purely just this O-ring. Now a new one comes with the part, so don't need this one anymore. Just need to make sure the actual mating face is clean. As you can see, that's the inside of the oil pump. Yeah, now we've just got to clean this, offer up the new pickup pipe, clean all around the edges, and then get it resealed, and we're basically there. Right, so this is the new pipe. As you can see, it's got the green O-ring on it. Give that a good clean, some brake cleaner. Right, so now offer it up. It should fit probably straight away. Get the bolts. There's one in finger tight. Right, so now they're in with an Allen wrench. I'm going to get a 10mm on it and just get them somewhat tight. Right, well this is a sump. You can tell she's had a bit of an hard life. You can see all of the carbon embedded on the side of it. So it's been working difficult. The oil looks a bit watery because I put some degreaser in there. But I'm just going to spray the sides with some degreaser to try and loosen all that shit up. Also the mating face, gonna get some of that as well. And then using a razor blade, I'm gonna get all the old silicone off. Right, so as you can see, that's probably about as clean as it's going to get. I need to just re-silicone around here very sparingly because I don't want any to be picked up by the oil pipe. And then I need to clean underneath quickly and then remake this back up. We use some Loctite SI 5980, which is a gasket making silicone. Right, so as you can tell, it's all siliconed up. Just probably need a little bit more over here. Less is more with this because you do not want it to squirt into the sump and then the oil pickup pipe to be blocked by some rogue silicone. So yeah, that's done. Just need to quickly go underneath before this starts setting, and then I can literally just offer it back up. Right, so the sump is all back on, the oil return line is all back on, the oil level sensor is all plugged back in. So now all I've got to do is take off the old oil filter, which is located just there, and then put a new one on and refill it with fresh oil, and we should be good to go. Right, so that's the old oil filter off. Just need to give it a clean with some brake cleaner. And then give it a good wipe down, clean the oil off all the pipes, and then put the new one back on. Right, this is a new oil filter. As always, we prime it. Right, that'll do for priming it, and then a little bit of oil around this O-ring, and that's ready to go on. Right, so the new oil pipe is in, the sump is on, the new oil filter is on, with oil all over it. Everything's plugged in, everything's torqued up. Just need to get a rag and give it a little wipe up. I need to drop the car off the jacks so it's level. Well, put this on, drop the car off the jacks, and then refill with oil. Before I turn the engine on though, I'm going to prime the engine with a ratchet so that oil pump is all primed up. I'll do that off camera quickly before I give it a start up. Right, good practice is also to clean your sump plug and replace it. Well, replace the copper washer with a brand new one. This kit was invaluable. I think it was like £10. It's full of all the washers you could want for like brakes or anything like that. And yeah, so I'm going to put a tiny bit of silicone sealant around here, so it should be double sealed, and then we can drop the car down and fill it with oil. Right, so now it's time to fill up the oil. Just popping the cap off and then dipstick up a little bit. You can see it's full up to where it's meant to be. So now I can give the car a crank by hand, and then I'm going to turn it on. Right, so the car's been cranked over by hand. I can now turn it on. Right, so it sounds all good to me. There's no check oil light or anything like that. So I'd say this is a success. I'm going to take it for a test drive to confirm that. But as always, thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please like it. Please subscribe. And as always, I'll see you in the next one, and take care.